Okay, we're finally on. Um, so, I wanted to, before really starting, say something quite funny, and that is, I noticed that something happened. That is, finish last stream, literally at the 50-minute mark in the clock itself. I don't know how something like that happened because certainly I don't even have it on screen to realize which time is it that we are on and such. But yeah, anyways, let me start like this. Okay, there it is. Yeah, uh, yeah, there it is. So here we are. Finally, yes. Probably I don't know. We're going to an hour. We have. I should have started earlier, but I was literally losing my time. Sorry. Anyways, so should we so I have quite a realize and quite observed that it's quite unavoidable for me to have a I don't know if problems is the word, something going on basically, but wake up. But that's quite funny. But yeah, I guess it's something that I can't avoid, so I must just accept. I don't know. And also something more important, more of a priority. I don't even know why my microphone sounds so low sometimes. I won't lie, I haven't checked the settings. I mean, perhaps it decreases its own volume or something like that. I remember that the other microphone I have did literally decrease or increase the volume of whole PC when I got too close to it, so perhaps something like that is happening here. I will have to check. I will I will have to observe that. I don't. The problem is I don't understand why that would happen. What's the reason like that to go on? See, yeah, it is. I I have no explanation. It decreases its own volume by itself because it wants to. Uh, I guess something like 70 should be fine. It it went all the way back to 60. I had it like at 74, I think so, and it decided to decrease itself. Certainly, we don't need to have proper volume, so understandable. I guess I don't know. Anyways, that's that. Also, let me see. Uh, uh, just in case, is this working? This should be properly, yeah. So, nothing about then. Right? Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I totally forgot about this one thing. Uh, whether it is perfectly fine. Yeah, let me get. I didn't eat anything. I am going to die today. Anyways, hello. Here we are. So, once again, it has been quite a long time since the last occasion that we found ourselves here. But regardless of that, I certainly like to procrastinate. So I don't have any other excuse besides that. But yeah. Anyways, hello people. it, it is a pleasure to be finally quote unquote back. What what's up? It is Discord, right? Yeah, it is Discord. Saw it coming. Anyways, as I was saying, hello. It it has been quite some time. Yeah. Anyways, as always, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for watching the VOD. Welcome everyone. As always, and yeah. Um, so today we have a little bit of Mahabharata to continue reading later on. Um, yeah, that will happen in the future. Right now we are simply getting started. Also, I am trying to accustom myself to talking once again. I don't know. I guess we can start with that, but I still have some problems with all of those ideas. I I realize that I speak so little general in my daily life that whenever I have to stream or whenever I have to talk with somebody, I I feel like my throat feels very weird, and also I have this tendency towards almost whispering instead of properly speaking. So yeah, it is quite. I wouldn't simply say annoying. It is more like okay, consistently an impediment on myself, I guess. But I don't know. I don't have any particular way to solve it. I don't believe that it is possible to solve anything like that. Well, besides obviously something like speaking more throughout the day, but what's up? Who was it that somebody follow? Aha! um, Gookie Prostatit. Welcome. Thank you for your follow. So, I didn't lose steady at the very least. As I was saying, um, um, it happened that I don't think I can really solve my thing with the speaking little. After all, I don't really have opportunities to do so. Perhaps I can. I don't know. I can in some way try to speak more, but at the very same time, I don't think it will truly work. Um, I don't. It. I mean, the problem is I don't really have that many things to say, anyways. So I have no reason to speak at all. And if I were to do so, it would be mostly to externalize what I am thinking about, like monologuing for myself. And I believe that will be pretty much schizophrenic or in the realms of that. I wouldn't enjoy. Yeah, I wouldn't enjoy talking so much. Um, but I don't know. At the very least, I don't have any particular real problem with my voice. It is just like a, a sensation that I have in the back of my mind whenever I have to really try to speak like here. That I realize, wow, I haven't spoken in so long that I once again feel weird when I utter more than one word. And well, I mean, probably it also is because we focus on myself speaking in terms of realizing that I am consistently talking and such. But anyways, that's something that I realize not recently in reality, but I never really discuss those things. I haven't found a solution yet, so I don't think it works in any particular favor for any of us to say, "Wow, I have this problem." But yeah, yeah, that's certainly something. Mm, I feel like it is quite funny to see that it happens like that. Um, After all, you wouldn't really expect anybody to almost, at least like it happens to me, lose their sense of their own voice. I mean, yeah, I. This is going to deep, but something that also happens is I am pretty sure if I stopped speaking for like a whole week, I think that I can easily do if I propose it to myself. After a week, I wouldn't even remember how my real voice sounds. I and I say that because I already know that I don't ever feel like I have a real voice. Like it suits the situation itself, but I don't know if I have yet found my true personal voice or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, that is once again complete craziness that I hold inside of myself. Um, Observations of the reality itself. But yeah, let me drink some water. It is too early for me, so some problems are bound to happen in regards to that. Give me a second. Um, anyways, as I as I was saying, or no, continuing into something completely different in reality. That's the end of that one idea. I guess moving on. I have been pretty much realizing something quite weird, and that is throughout, at the very least, my daily life, I don't really give myself the opportunity to observe things in a proper manner. And I don't say it just because, wow, we don't think, but rather because it becomes altogether kind of a natural thing to wish to observe the world in which we live and to try to decipher by yourself and with your own capacities all of those, yeah, all of those things that are born inside of your mind, let's say. Do it based on the ideas and the notions that you hold inside of you. But in my very own case, I realize that I don't do it, or if I do it, implying that I do it sometimes, I don't do it enough. And I certainly don't possess any particular excuse as to why I don't. I realize that it is more something like I barely pay attention to even thinking, let's say. And because of that, I end up later on having to deal with the consequences of, well, perhaps I haven't truly used my mind to, yeah, to do its principal role on my own life. Because in in my case, I notice a lot of the problems that by themselves exist I have pretty much the capacity of solving if I focus a minimum of, I don't know, 5 minutes or so trying to think. But I don't really possess the capacity to say even why I avoid it so much and why I feel so kind of uncomfortable when I do it consciously. It is like, yeah, I don't have a real explanation as to why. Because even every single thing, let's say, gives to you the input that thinking is fine and that realizing the act of observing mentally stuff is okay. But there is still an underlying level in which processing all of all of the ideas that you have to properly observe or that you should properly observe feels uncomfortable. And because of that, even if everything else tells you that it is fine, and even if you know that it is going to be useful in any way, because certainly it happens like that in my case, I have realized that every consistently, let's say 90% of the time that that I use my own time, sorry for repeating, into or for the act of thinking, I end up certainly gaining some advantages or solving those situations in which I find myself in. But doing so is always uncomfortable. And I don't know if it is really uncomfortable because of itself or because of um, mental bias. I adding up something else. I think it might be, at the very least, in my personal experience, because of this whole self-serving bias. Let's say I have been realizing that certainly we have a tendency towards believing a lot of things even more the more they quote unquote happen. But because we have also okay, we have the capacity over deciding how it is that we interpret the world around us, and because of that, it also happens that when we decide to observe situations in which we might feel one way or another, we come to the realization that all of these things, in one way or another, um, are the way in which we observe them mostly, not something by itself natural, let's say, if that makes any particular sense. And because of that, in this case, it happens that when you have the possibility of feeling negatively towards the act of thinking and you consistently um, do so, yeah, sorry, I I believe that what I induce into my own persona is now the idea that if I continue thinking, trying to even think, let's say, I will probably find myself having not problems as if that were to create any particular problem, but certainly at an uncomfortable position because I have already in the past consistently decided that thinking by itself is uncomfortable. When, once again, I also have every other evidence in my own life in which I can, without any problem whatsoever, accept that by thinking or because of um, what I did when I was thinking, I literally gained a million times more things than what I quote unquote lost because I was only feeling quite uncomfortable having to think. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I observed that I didn't really think about why I don't think before, and I believe it might be something along those lines, and I well maybe implying stuff certainly, and a lot maybe when you're thinking, it is very much similar to physical exercise, but obviously in the brain, um, because you need to consciously be putting your attention into that. And perhaps, I don't know, perhaps you are mobilizing your, yeah, your mind, therefore your brain, in ways in which you are indicating to it that you need to consciously be paying attention to whatever it is it that you are trying to solve and such. Maybe I don't possess such an explanation in my hand, but maybe because of that, thinking has that whole mental fatigue associated to it, and that's why it feels quite tiring in some way or another, even if you don't realize that, yeah, that it is tiring by itself. After all, it is like if you walked 10 kilometers, even if you were completely accustomed to it, you will still feel tired because the act itself of walking, or walking so much, requires you already to exert your capacities in an even bigger manner than before. Something like that, I guess. But yeah, I do recognize it is quite weird to have never paid attention to anything of that sort. After all, you will expect that somebody, once again, in this whole path of being alive and such, you wouldn't need to think about this stuff. It is like, oh yeah, I have these problems because X and Y, and I know completely also how I might be capable of solving them. I don't know. I guess not enough rationalization of these things leads to these problems. Maybe I don't know. Um, but yeah, that's what I noticed lately. Um, in terms of wow, we have this whole world of ideas that I could be observing in some way or another, but I don't. I certainly don't. I mean, adding a little bit more into that, I don't think we have enough time to cover anything else, so let me add something more that I realized inside of this whole topic. Something quite strange that even happens, particularly in my case now. I have realized also that because I want to avoid it so much, I induce in myself a consumption of different types of media in which I ensure that I am learning about something in any particular way. As I have said before, that for example, in this past, I don't know if it is a week already, I hope not. Um, but in this past week or so, implying, um, I had been learning and I had been, yeah, consuming overall this book, Das Capital. And because I am not somebody who reads, but rather enjoys the audiobooks themselves, I ensure that I am, uh, as much as I can every single day, having that playing instead of, once again, giving myself time to reflect. And the very same thing happens even if I am not on my PC, let's say. I do something like that uh, with always, yeah, by always having in my hand, for example, my phone, or by having one particular activity by which I can avoid the act itself of thinking, let's say. I I don't know. It is quite weird to realize that after all, you wouldn't expect that something so natural to anybody will be avoided. It, I think you could very much um, associate it to something like you will be, yeah, you will have no reason in reality to avoid breathing, you know? After all, you pretty much are obliged to breathe. You wouldn't try to see how much you can go every single day without breathing. because it literally is something that you require to function properly as a human being, man. You wouldn't want to not do the to not do it, and I don't know. I just realized that I guess it is quite weird to say it out loud. After all, you wouldn't expect that to be a problem in anyone, even less in yourself. But yeah, uh, also, just in case, certainly what I was talking about, although it sounds only about me, I I, I believe it can be taken from a more neutral point of view, but I don't know yet how to do it, so I prefer to go about it only basing it on my own experience. Yeah, I remember that I heard, not heard, in this case I finally read once one of it was Freud's book about the psychopathology of the daily life or something like that. I think it is that he was talking about how, because of the nature of presenting examples and the uncomfortableness that is born out of revealing inner secrets about oneself, it is always easier to preface things as if they were happening to you instead of talking about them uh, from the perspective of the one who really gave you those experiences, obviously trying to avoid the discomfort born out of getting somebody to show their quote unquote weaker self, I guess. But I don't know, I can't really argue with that. I certainly accept that it is weird by itself, the idea of wow, I am not thinking, literally I am not thinking. I am not realizing one of the most obligatory acts in my whole life. But yeah, I don't know anyways. Um, Let me drink water, and after that, we will finally start with the book. It got quite late, so let us do that. Yeah, let me drink water before. Uh, okay, so this the glue sound is on. Yeah, everything is on its place. Give me like 1 second. Okay, yeah, we are on. I have Harata as always. Uh, so we're it has been more than a week, almost 2 entire weeks since the last time that I read anything here. That is quite crazy to observe. But anyways, so we're on the Mahabharata, continuing this whole reading. As always, the main objective is, at least in my case, to try and analyze it and extract whichever idea is it that we can find inside of any cantos, as they are called here, chapters basically, and subdivision of chapters, and find which ideas might be interesting enough to to take into consideration and to see even more obviously if we can find any particular concept in regards to the possibility of having quote unquote a better life. Certainly, with all of these texts and such, it is always expected, and we have already found a lot of them before, principles and guidance towards quote unquote a better life. So, yeah, dismantling whichever is it that we find in in regards to that, and if not, at the very least, continuing with the story itself, thing which we barely pay attention to. It is yeah, for the interest that we have of learning about any possible interesting thing by itself, it is only an addition that there is also a story. It will be probably in that sense we will probably have a better rate of extraction from something like philosophical readings that are by themselves really philosophical, no, not a story like this one where we need to imply a lot of things and such. But anyway, sorry, I lost myself there a little bit. Continuing, um, we were last time Canto 124 and so on. We were reading this whole story as to how the Pandavas, as in the main guys who we are observing, were exploring the theaters and such, and they were trying to stay, not to stay, to purify themselves in order to regain their. I don't think it is divinity. Yeah, their pureness, basically. Even if it sounds redundant, they wanted to once again have in their hands the what is it the benefit, the possibility of being good. I don't remember the proper term that they use. Something like that, basically. And we were observing yet again how they were discussing with particular, um, yeah, with particular Brahmanas and such. And I think the last what anyways, I think the last thing we observed was about one Brahmana that was telling them about one story, because something quite funny that always happens is the Mahabharata is itself the story that talks about this story of how somebody is being told the different multiple stories about his ancestors. If I am not wrong, I think it is Hannah Mehaya who's getting told all of these stories. And the funniest thing also is because the Mahabharata is also an epic from the Hinduistic people and such. It is implied that they are having visions, and it is implied that they are having a quite a what is it? Not religious. What is it that they call it? Come on. What's the word? Something like okay. Spiritual experience that they are having the possibility of directly re- retelling things as if literally they were those characters and such. And because of that, it also happens that inside of those stories that are being told already to this guy, there are even more stories inside of those stories because they are part of the main story itself that happens. And now, as I was trying to say, all of that is to basically go and say, now we are observing a story that is inside of the story. Okay, let me phrase it correctly. We are observing this story about a guy who is trying to do some ritual because this story is contained inside of the story that is the narration of how the Pandavas are trying to regain their purity, because that narration is also contained inside of the whole story of the Pandavas, and that narration of the whole Pandavas life, or everything that is contained inside of here, um, it's also obviously being told to Hanamehaya and such, but yeah, um, all of that. Also, welcome, Vito. No problem, my brother. I don't know why would that be a problem. Literally, no problem. I think I will be honest. I barely almost advertise lately. I am not so consistent with streaming, so I don't have that much time to advertise. Not that no. That's an excuse, sorry. I don't put that much time into saying, wow, we are going live in X place at X time. I mean, I'm not even consistently starting at the same hour, even if I try to act like I am doing so. But anyways, um, no problem. Welcome, Vita. It, I am sure that it is late for you. It is early for me, but it is late for you because you don't rest, you gecko. So yeah, um, be fine. Please rest when you feel like doing so. No problem. Anyways, yeah. I knew it. I thought you were awake. Incredible. Anyways, uh, so we're now after how much did it take me? 20 minutes to make the introduction to this whole story. And at the very same time, I didn't say anything. Let me start reading. What is the particular context of this whole thing? What are we observing? I don't even remember where we left last time. Um, what is? Ah, yeah. We're observing basically. Okay, just in case, the last piece of context, we're observing how somebody is making a sacrifice because this is interesting for the Pandavas. I think so. I think it was a narration that they were getting told about as it was pertaining. Ah, yeah, the nature of one of the Tirthas, something that is quite a recurrent event on this part of the adventure. I don't know how to say it. Anyways, I I don't have anything else to add. So now for real, starting on this, Canto 128, Tirthayatra Parva continued. Sumaka said, Brahmana, do whatever you must. I want to have many sons, and I will do as you say. The priest commenced the sacrifice at which Hantu was to be the offering. But the 100 wailing mothers snatched at her son and tried to save him. Ah, we are lost, they cried, and held the boy's right arms, but the priest snatched him back, while the queens screamed like female ospreys. The Brahmana killed Hantu and offered his flesh as Havis, the burnt offering, into the sacred Agni. Gurunandana, while the princess fat burned, the agonized mothers whiffed its smell and fell in a swoon altogether. At once, all those women became pregnant, and when 10 months passed, they delivered 100 sons to Somaka, Lord of the Earth. Hantu was also born again to his own mother, and he was the eldest of the 100 princes and the most beloved of all his mothers. Not so their own sons. And upon his back there was the mark of gold, and of those 100 sons, he was the superior one. Sumaka's Kulaguru left this world after a time, and so did that king. After they died, Sumaka saw his priest being tortured with fire in a dreadful hell. Sumaka asked, why are you being roasted in this Naraka in searing pain? The priest gasped, this is my punishment for performing that sacrifice for you. Raharishi Sumaka said to Dharmaraja, who punishes the dead sinners, Lord, free my priest. I am to blame for the torment he suffers. Burn me in the fire instead. Dharmaraja replied, no one can suffer for another's sins or enjoy the fruit of anyone else's good deeds. Look, Here is the fruit of all the punya you have done. Sumaka said, without this, I have no wish to go to the blessed realms. I want to remain with this man, either in heaven or here in hell. For I have done what he has, and we shall share an identical fate. Dharmaraja said, O king, if this is what you want, then taste the fruit of his sin for the same time that he does. After that, you will find the realms of heaven. That lotus-eyed king did exactly that, and when his sins were paid, for he and his Kulaguru were set free together. Fond as Somaka was of his priest, he shared all the fruit of his punya, his great good deeds, with the Brahmana. This is his enchanting asrama, which is so lovely before your eyes. Anyone who spends 6 nights here, with his passions controlled, will attain the blessed realms of heaven. King of kings, let us rid ourselves of all excitations and spend 6 nights in this sacred place. Yeah, that is Canto 128, I think. Yeah. I obviously there is nothing truly more remarkable than this one paragraph. This Dharmaraja replied, no one can suffer for another's sins or enjoy the fruit of anyone else's good deeds. Look, here is the fruit of all the punya you have done. The second part doesn't really matter to us, certainly, but the first one, I mean, it is quite understandable what is being said, but at the very same time, okay, let me analyze it first. We're certainly observing how a deity is talking down to a human, so it is expected that what is being said here should be taken as a principle about something that does happen to every single human being, as in, no one has the capacity of, let's say, how will you say it without using the exact same words? Experiencing what others do um, for them. In the case of, you can bear their burden because it is for them to do so, and build something good or something bad. If they try in any particular way to avoid it, they will only keep running after, no, from something that is certainly by nature bound to their own selves, let's say. So, once again, because of this, we are considering and we are believing, let's say, that it is almost a responsibility for you to experience this. And I mean, even more later on, it is said that the king Somaka ends up experiencing all the good things that he did deserve to experience in the afterlife, because he literally was only forcing himself to be there next to his priest, his family priest. But I don't know. I don't know which real nature this one paragraph has, because certainly, I mean, we're literally in the story of the Pandavas, and inside of the Pandavas story, we observe already how they were robbed out of everything, and you can um, literally realize how, in that case, when you are robbed, somebody is, as it says here, or contradicting what it says here, is enjoying the fruit of anyone else's good deeds. They got robbed of their kingdom, and they lost the capacity of enjoying their kingdom, or something like that. Um, but I don't know, perhaps if you try to take it from that perspective, with another meaning that it might have might be something along the lines of, because it is yours, what you need to experience. It also is somethingly. Sorry for the expression here. I don't have anything else to really say it as. It is somethingly heavenly ordained for you to experience that. So it will be unavoidable, no matter how much you try to run from it, to realize and to go through what is the experience itself, despite how much you might want or you might have believed that you lost it. It is an inescapable fate or something like that. I certainly don't find how to properly read that one paragraph. The problem is, once again, it is easily contradicted by the story itself. So, I don't know. I mean, even on this own narration, the King Somaka ended up experiencing the pain of his family priest. I guess he certainly didn't atone in the place of his priest, liberating him from that pain, but he did go along his priest. And I mean, I don't know, because I remember hearing something quite similar once about how I think it was every every shared choice in life gets to be double, and every shared burden or problem gets to be halved, something like that. Perhaps it was to a certain extent reduced the amount of pain that his um, Kulaguru was feeling, but yeah, I don't know. I guess it holds some truth behind it, certainly. There is no possibility of completely negating what is being said, but there are some ways in which you can say this isn't completely like that. Also, yeah, hey, okay, give me 1 second. Let me activate it. I have to hide this, and I have this. There it is, I think. No, what? Yeah, I did it on the wrong scene. Um, uh, yeah, there it is. Wait, it is muted. Why do I have it muted? There it is. Yeah, I don't have a clock, so I will try to remember in like 5 minutes. I we have a beta pass some minutes ago, and he didn't sleep. I know that he didn't sleep yet. I hope it is morning for you, Arkia, and that you have properly slept, my brother. uh, yeah, yeah, I know it. I am just telling him, you know. Um, ah, yeah. At the very least, you had like a micro nap or something like that. That's that's something at the very least. I don't know. Sometimes I also don't even get to. Um, yeah, yeah. Sometimes I also don't get to sleep, so that's what I was saying. Sometimes I take something like coffee, or here at the very least we have mate, which replaces coffee, but it is literally the same effect. It energizes you, so leisure. Pipeline, punch, pipeline. What? Um, yeah, yeah, yerba mate. But basically, um, it is pretty much like coffee, but a more a different type of substance. It is methane, what gets activated in the brain and all of that, and it is quite useful to stay awake. I mean, even tea is an energy drink to a certain extent, but yeah, yeah. Uh, I hope you're doing fine then. Even if you didn't get to sleep that much. It is certainly, I mean, probably. Yeah, yeah. As Vita says, there are some ways in which mate can be not so enjoyable, but there are some preparations in which you very much try to imitate the yeah, like green tea or such, and slowly transition into quote unquote real yerba mate. It all depends. The end. But yeah, uh, also Ita, shut up. We literally don't add a fucking sugar. Those are the Paraguayans, my brother. Don't you fucking slander me like that. Um, yeah, yeah, like that. Just yerba mate and almost boiling water. And with that, you are ready to go. Uh, but talking about water, I need some. The fuck? Ah, yeah, well, certainly, that's what I was going to say. We are not porteños, brother. I am sorry, but my family isn't made of fucking porteños. In the provinces, we are not fucking weak-minded individuals. Let's say like that. Um, if you drink it with fucking sugar, you are quite a child here. But yeah, yeah. Um, ah, Porteños, okay. A porteño is somebody from Buenos Aires and similar zones from capital, um, from the capital's province mostly. Um, and every other province certainly is just, what is it, rural zone for them? And they decided to call themselves porteños because they one of the main features of Buenos Aires is that they have like I think the biggest whole um, the biggest port in all of South America. I think it was at some point. Nowadays, probably it is Brazil who has an even bigger ports. But at some point, they were only known for that, so they adopted the name Porteño. Um, and yeah, it can be quite despective for some, for others, it is the nature itself of you are from Buenos Aires, you are a fucking porteño, my brother, you can't avoid it. Somebody who is probably porteño, I think it was a Copa. But yeah, the benefits of living in the capital are quite nice. So being a porteño is good overall. But yeah, the provinces are quite different. I mean, it is like if you, yeah, you're from Canada, fuck it. But okay, a good example, I think it is. Well, yeah, I said before, Vita. I said before, not actually, not nowadays. I said before, my man. It happened before. Nowadays you are incredibly poor. But before, like in the, as always, Argentina that lives stuck in the past, you know? But what I was trying to say, you made me lose my point with that. Fuck. This is so sad. I was. I lost the idea, Vita. Anyways, I guess I will continue with this. What did I want to say? What was it? I I can't really remember. I am getting senile and old. I am rotting inside of my flesh. My mind is decaying, and I am starting to see the light. Uh, no, 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 no. It was an addition to say something about what we are talking about right now. Don't worry. Um, I don't remember what was it. Ah, but yeah, anyways, continuing. I guess I can't add anything else. I forgot what I wanted to say. So yeah, um, canto 129. Irte y atrapar va a continuar. Lomasa says, O king, in this place Narayana himself performed a sacrifice of old, the yagna called Istigrita, which lasted 1,000 years. Nabhaga's son, Ambarisha, sacrificed near to Ramuna, the Yamuna river, and he gave away 10 padmas of gold coins to the attendant priests, and he attained the final felicity through sacrifices and austerities. Kaunteya, this is the place Nahusha's son, Yayati, lord of all the world, man of Dharma, his power measureless, performed his sacrifice. This was as mighty as Indra and performed his yagna. Look how the ground is strewn with fire pits of diverse kinds, and how the earth seems to subside here under the weight of Yayati's pieties. Look, it is the summit tree, which has just one leaf, and look at his sparkling lake. Why, behold all these lakes of Parasurama and the Asrama of Narayana. Rahan, it is the path that Rechika's son of Untolte has trod. Oh, dogs. Uh, anyways, I, I should have expected the dogs to bark today, but I didn't really expect them to so, so intensely. What the fuck? Are they should be picked up by the mic. No? If I stay silent, you can't hear them. we can we can take a short break. It is not the mic. It is the fucking dogs who started to scream. It is the dogs, Vita. It is the dogs. We live in fucking Latin America. We need to have dogs in the background making noise, you know? Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Ah, anyways, there it is. They finally shut up. Oh man, dogs, what a beautiful thing. Ah, anyways, yeah, there was no ghost. There were only dogs barking. Sorry. Um, anyways, continuing. So left. Ah, okay, here. Uh, Rahan, it is the path that Richika's son of Tolte has trod, who reigns over the world and practice rites of yoga in the river Raupia. Gurunandana, listen to what Abhisachi, who wore vessels for her ornaments, said to a Brahmana woman, as I once sat here chanting the timeless lineage. Having eaten gourd in Yuganhara and stayed in Ajutashala and also waited in Bihutalaya, you must remain here with your brothers. Having passed one night here, if you stay another, what happens during the night will be very different from the events of today. O most righteous of Bharata's race, we will spend one night here. Hmm. This is the threshold of Kurukshetra, field of the Kurus. This very place did Nakusha's son Yayati perform a yagna and gave gifts of a bounty of gemstones. Indra was pleased with those sacred rites. This is a most auspicious tirtha along the Yamuna, called Lakshavatarana, the descent of the Banyan tree. Evolved men call it the entrance to Swarga. Here, the greatest rishis performed the sacrificial rites of the Saraswata king, using the sacrificial stake for their vessel, and when the sacrifice ended, they performed their ablutions in the river. Rahan, King Bharata undertook his sacrifice here, sending forth the sacrificial horse for his Aswamedha Yagna, the animal which would be sacrificed. Through Dharma, that king won sovereignty over the earth by righteousness. The horses that he sent forth many times were mottled black. Purushabhyagara. It was here that Sambarta, the greatest among rishis, helped Maruta perform his renowned yagnas. Bathing in this tirtha, one can see into all the world and is purified of all one's sins. Therefore, you, too, must bathe here with Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira, best of Pandu's sons, bathes there with his brothers while the mighty Munis chant his praises. Yudhishthira says to Ramasa, "O Rishi whose power is Dharma, bathing here, I see all the worlds. From here, I see Arjuna, who rides the white charger." Lumasa says, "Mahabaho, the greatest rishis see all realms, even so. This is holy Saraswati, owned by those that regard her as their sole refugee. You have bathed here, and you shall be free of all your sins." Kaunteya, the Devarishis performed sacrifices for the Saraswata king here, as did the Rishis and the Raha Rishis. This is the Vedi of Brahma Brahapati, extending 5 yohanas on every side, and this is the field of the magnificent Gurus, who always undertake great yagnas. Okay, that is Canto 129. Wow. I don't know if there is any particular extraction to make besides the whole rite of the Tirtha. I do have one particular analysis, and that is it's always the Tirthas are lakes in which different people bathe. In this case, we're following the story of the Pandavas, therefore, we're only talking about them. But anybody should have the capacity of bathing in a Tirtha because they are supposedly placed in throughout the whole world for the sake of purifying anybody who is willing to go into them and such. That's why, in this case, what this one might be about, besides the whole divine side of observing everything in the world, I believe another reading that can be made out of that is once you're observing that by trying to obtain, let's say, purity as they talk about it here, or freedom from your sins, and being in a state of no more thing pardoning you as a human being, what does happen is you also obtain, in this case, the capacity of observing the world, fucking dogs, observing the world itself as something more than what you just believe it was before. Not because the world is bigger, but rather because you have removed from you this very present idea of the veil that negates you the possibility. I love that they bark like once in a while and they do like wow, bow wow, but then they shut up again. They only fucking troll. Um, anyways, but yeah, as I was saying, you remove from your eyes the veil and you gain the capacity now of being an observant of this world and being an observant even more of what is supposedly the underlying, yeah, the underlying nature of what has always been reality surrounding you, let's say, because it also is being mentioned. What is it? There was something that was said that can kind of hint this. Here. No, what is it? There was something that mentioned that this was supposedly the entrance to Swarga. Here. Here. Evolved man call it the entrance to Swarga. Swarga, as always, is the state of complete purity that is always being talked about in the Mahabharata. Something that supposedly every single Brahmana is always in. So something like that can be observed as the explanation as to why it did happen this event. Or, yeah, once again, another reading. We will never know. We are literally making stuff up. Anyways, continuing. But not before I drink some water. Give me 1 second. No, okay, now for real, continuing. Canto 100. I want to I don't want to say. At the very least, they are not fucking barking on my windows exactly. And they don't shut up. Okay. Can I read? Certainly, that they are so funny. Fucking dogs. There it is. I can continue. I can continue for like 1 second. Now, Canto 130. Tirthayatra Parva continued. Lomasa says, Bharata, if any of the mortals breathes their last here, they find Swarga. Thousands upon thousands of men come to this place to die. Daksha pronounced a blessing on this place while he performed his yagna here, saying, whoever dies in this place will win a place in Swarga. Look at this beautiful and sacred Saraswati, full of crystalline water, and here, Lord of Men, is Binasana, where the Saraswati disappeared. Here is the gate of the kingdom of the Nishadas, and it is from hatred for them that the Saraswati entered into the earth, so that the Nishadas might not see her. Here, too, is the sacred land of Chamasot. What? Sorry. Here, too, is the sacred land of Chamasot Heba, where the Saraswati became visible to them again, and here she is joined by other sacred rivers flowing seawards. Parantapa. Here is the sacred Sindhu, where Lopamudra accepted the Maharishi Agastya for her lord, and you of son like Lazar, it is the holy Tirtha Prabhasa, which Indra favors and which removes all sins. Yonder is Vishnupata, and here is the sacred river Vipasa. Grief-stricken at the death of his sons, Maharishi Vasista bound himself hand and foot, cast himself into this river. But he rose out of the waters and was unfettered. Look, O king, with your brothers at the sacred land of Kashmira, frequented by holy sages. Here, O scion of Bharata, is the place where Agni Deva and Maharishi Kashyapa conferred, and also Nahusha's son and the sages of the north. Yonder, Kshatriya is the gateway to the Manasa Sarovara, where Sri Rama opened a gap in the mountain with his astra, and there is the renowned realm of Patikhashanda, which, although adjacent to the gate of Deha, lies to its north. There is something else very remarkable about this place, that on the waning of every yuga, the Lord Shiva, who can assume any form at will, can be seen here with Uma and his Ganas. In the Holy Lake, also, those wanting the well of their families worship Shiva Pinakin with sacrifices during the month of Chaitra. Devoted folk, their passions restrained, who bathe in the Manasa Sarovara, are freed from their sins and attain the holy realms. And here is the Tirtha called Uhanaka, where the Maharishi Vasista, his wife Arundhati, and also the Muni Yavakri found peace. Yonder is the lake Kusava, where the lotuses called Kusisaya grow, and here also is the sacred hermitage of Rukmini, where she attained mukti after conquering the devil passion, anger. I think, O Prince, that you have heard something about that mount of meditation. Brigutunga, dog, that is the lofty peak. And there is Pitasta, the sacred stream that absolves men from all sins. Its water is cool and limpid and uses mainly by the holy great sages. Kshatriya, behold the holy rivers Hala and Upahala on either side of the Yamuna. By performing a sacrifice here, King Usarina surpassed Indra himself in greatness, wanting to test Usinara's merit and also wanting to bestow boons on him. Indra and Agni came to his Yagnashala. Indra took the form of a hawk, and Agni that of a pigeon, and they flew to the king. In apparent fear of the hawk, the pigeon fell upon the king's thigh, seeking his protection. So, okay, before continuing, give me. We change this into this, and there it is. It has been probably more than 5 minutes. So yeah, that's the guitar riff. 5 minutes, but certainly that was also Canto 130. So, is there anything to really gain from this? I mean, we're truly just reading once again about the Tirthas and how every single Tirtha is so interesting and whatever. But I don't see any particular worthy thing. I mean, I don't know. The only interesting thing, let's say, is the final one. The one where we're talking about how a king is getting tested once again by the gods, but that is like something very, very good, not in any particular way um, weird or extraordinary. Yet again, just wow. man gets tested by gods has to prove himself worthy and does so in the proper manner. But yeah, I don't think there is that much more to say so far. I think so. So, I mean, certainly you feel like you're not taking advantage of the possibility of extracting any particular knowledge when you move from such a canto without having gained anything whatsoever. But yeah, I feel like there is nothing more. I mean, one other thing that I quite feel like might have something interesting is the history of the Saraswati and how the Saraswati left the Nishada's realm and such, but can that be in any particular way interpreted for humans who are not even Nishadas? Just in case, Nishadas are a different race of divine created beings. They have nothing to do with humans, but you really find anything particularly tying to human? Okay, I I think there is something interesting enough. This, despite the possibility of the Saraswati of their Nishada's realm to move itself into somewhere else to avoid the Nishadas, um, and having the chance, as I said, of doing so to any single place that it wanted, it chose the Earth, implying to a certain extent that there is something worth in humans for it to move itself to this place instead of anywhere else. And to some extent, it is just another justification as to why, let's say, the human beings can, to a certain extent, be considered good or be considered interesting. Even the lower deities themselves can see some spark of utility behind helping them. And this by itself, it doesn't mean anything still, but at the very same time, it can be taken as because something that is outside of you can realize that you have some type of worthiness and it tries to give you the chance of helping you. In this case, the tirtas, as we are talking about, are lakes that you visit and such. So they are things that you mobilize yourself towards. They don't come to you. Um, because that is of such a nature to a certain extent, obviously stretching a lot the margins of what we're talking about, it can be said because of that. Perhaps there is the possibility of taking advantage of different tools that exist in our life because they are there for us to do so, and because they might quote unquote want that to happen, let's say. After all, things are displayed in front, and if you are capable of seeing them, you will realize how much of a possibility it was for anybody to once again enjoy the benefit of using these things. If not, you will never even believe that something like, for example, here, the Tirtas is possible. Um, so yeah, that is quote unquote an explanation for this. But yeah, that is the most I can do with this, one canto. At the very least, I am happier than if I did no analysis of nothing. So yeah, um, now I have one problem. Before continuing, I need a tiny idle break. So if you will excuse me, we're going to take like 1 or 2 minutes of break. Um, thank you. Meanwhile, once again, as always, enjoy the complete void, emptiness, and nothing. So yeah, thank you. But be right back. Probably like 1 minute too. I don't know. I don't know. Like so, yeah. I have to do stuff. I think my dogs took a break or something. I don't know what happened. They completely made silence, which is very weird for them because they literally love to fucking bark at the morning. I don't know. Anyways, let me back. Okay, there it is. I think so. Yeah, continuing. So, uh, after doing a little bit more of analysis of the previous canto, we can retake the reading, or what is it? Re. I don't remember the expression. Something like a continue, but basically with re. Something like that. I don't know. Sorry. I am ESL, so I have that excuse. Anyways, so Canto 131. Tirthayatra Parva continued. The hawk said, the king of the earth, all say that you are a righteous sovereign. Why, O Kshatriya, have you stooped to this adharma? I am afflicted with hunger. Do not keep me from my prey, which God has given me to be my food. You think that you serve Dharma by this, while, in fact, you forsake it. The king said, Best of Apians, this pigeon is terrified of you, and for its life. It has flown to me to escape you, and to beg for its life. How do you not see that my highest dharma is to give it my protection? It trembles in fear, and I will surely find sin if I abandon it. He that slays a Brahmana, he that slaughters a cow, the common mother of all the worlds, and he that forsakes one seeking protection are equally sinful. The hawk replied, O king, all beings live through food, which nourishes and sustains them. A man can live long even after relinquishing what is dearest to him, but he cannot live without food. If you deprive me of my food, my life will leave this body and find realms where such troubles are unknown. But at my death, pious king, my maid and children will also surely perish, and by protecting this single pigeon, you will take many lives. The virtue that stands in the way of another virtue is certainly no virtue at all, but in reality is sin. O king, whose prowess consists of truth, only the Dharma, which does not conflict with a greater Dharma, is worthy of being called Dharma. Compared to conflicting ghosts in lives, You shall not do what you mean to. Take the course of the lesser evil. The king said, "O best of beards, you speak words fraught with wisdom, and I suspect that you're Suparna, monarch of beards. I have no hesitation in declaring that you are fully conversant with the ways of Dharma. You disclose wonders about Dharma, so that I must believe there is nothing that you do not know about it. So, then, can you say that abandoning a creature that seeks my protection is Dharma? The Sky Ranger, you are in quest of food. Surely, you can assuage your hunger with some other food more copious than this pigeon. I am willing to procure any kind of food for you, which is even more to your taste. Even if it be an ox, or a boar, or a deer, or a buffalo. There, Hawk said, Great King. Eh? I have? I guess it repeats itself. Great King, I have no wish to eat a boar or an ox or any other animal. They are not my natural prey. So, O bull among Kshatriyas, give me this pigeon that heaven has ordained to be my meal today. Or that hogs will eat pigeons is the law of nature. Do not cling to a plantain tree for support, O king. It is not strong enough to support you. The king said, Sky Rover, I will give you this rich kingdom of my race, or anything else you want, anything other than this pigeon, which has flown to me for my protection. Ah, tell me, what I shall do to save this beard, because I do not mean to give him to you under any circumstance. The hawk said, Son, if you have such love for this pigeon, then cut off some of your own flesh and weigh it upon a scale until it equals the pigeon's weight, and when it does, give me that flesh and I will be satisfied. The king said, I will do so gladly, and consider this a favor to me. The Maharishi Usinara cut off some of his flesh and weighed it in a balance against the pigeon, and he found the pigeon heavier and cut off another piece of his flesh, and still the beard weighed more. Portion after portion of his flesh he cut and added, but the scale remained tilted on the side of the beard. At last, there was no flesh left upon Usinara's body, and he mounted the scale himself. Now, the hawk said, King of Dharma, I am Indra, and this pigeon is Agni, who bears the habits to the gods. We came to your Yagnashala to test your merit. You cut all the flesh from your body, and your glory shall be resplendent, and will surpass that of all others in the world. As long as men speak of you, your glory will endure, and you will dwell in Swarga, in the holiest realms. Saying this to the king, Indra flew up into the Valoka, and after having filled heaven and earth with the punya of his great and pious deeds, Usnara also ascended into heaven in a radiant form. Look, O king, at this Rama of that noblest-hearted sovereign. Here to the Vasan Maharishis come, along with the purest Brahmanas. That is Canto 131, certainly. Ay, it is quite dense, certainly. Finally, something useful at the very least, but it is quite dense with information, so a, a proper analysis is quite complex to perform, let's say. It Okay, let's say it like this first and foremost. It has a lot of things that can be taken to some extent with without further analysis. Uh, it is certainly so an interesting thing. to realize that it talks about the quote-unquote proper nature of a human being. Certainly, if something is quite easy to observe, is that they love to hear the storytellers of the Mahabharata, if it isn't clear, love to give different examples that pertain or that are particularly for yeah, for those who are willing to accept that it is an example and not something else. So in this case, the nature of this king is certainly something so important that understanding how trying to copy his likeliness, let's say, in terms of being so adhered to Dharma that you can see things in such a matter is the proper way. But at the very same time, obviously, it is talking about something quite impossible for any average person. You wouldn't sacrifice yourself completely for a simple vision. There is no thing that is really worth it, but you can say, or you can, yeah, you can see in this world how it happens sometimes that somebody is willing to go that far for something of a lesser existence, quote unquote. And so certainly it is it is quite true what is contained inside of here, and even more when you see how the side of helping whatever it comes your way, asking for help, it can be pretty much related. So yeah, there was something particular that it doesn't really add to this analysis, but it is the nature of how many times it does happen that you realize that something comes your way, asking you for help, and because you decided that you might not be capable of helping without even having tried to do so, you discard yourself from such a responsibility that is to try and do your best in every single situation that is presented to you. And because, once again, you have seen your own self as a lesser being and you have assumed that you will not have the chance of properly dealing with this problem. Now you have lost the capacity of saying that you have done everything that was possible to enjoy existing in this world, as you will also have to bear the burden of knowing that when it was a possibility, you left something behind in order to satisfy that whole narrative of I might not be capable of dealing with this problem, despite never even having tried to do so. But yeah, everything else, I think it is quite clear in the narration itself. It talks about the property of being so capable of following your own principles that you're willing to risk everything for them, being having morals good enough that you know, even if you died for them, it was completely worth it. There is no other real analysis in depth on this matter. It is quite a clear canto. I think it was canto 131. So yeah, that's that. I guess, but yeah, quite an interesting one. Um, let me give me a second, and after that we're continuing. I will drink some water and such. Give me one tiny second. Oh, anyways, so continuing a little bit more. Um, we are on okay. Canto 132. How much time? Okay, not so bad. Anyways, so moving on. Canto 132. Tirtha y otra parva continuan. Lomasa says, and look here, Lord of Men, at the Horias Rama of Utalaga's son, Swetaketu, whose fame as an expert in the sacred mantras is spread across earth. Coconut trees graced his hermitage. Here, Swetaketu saw the goddess Saraswati in her human shape and said to her, "Bless me with the gift of speech." That Yuga, Swetaketu, the son of Udalaka, and Astabakra, the son of Kahoda, who were uncle and nephew, were the greatest masters of the sacred lore. Those two Brahmanas of matchless Tehas went to King Hanaka's Yaganasala and bested Bandin in a debate. Count Teja, you and your brothers worship the holiest ram of him whose grandson was Astabakra, who, even as a child, drowned Bandin in a river after having vanquished him in a metaphysical debate. Yudhishthira says, "Tell me, oh Lomasa, about the power of this man who vanquished Bandin. Why was he born as Astabakra, crooked in 8 parts of his body?" Lomasa says, "The Rishi Utalaka had a disciple named Kahoda of subdued passions and entirely devoted to the service of his guru, who had studied long. The Brahmana had served his master for many years, and recognizing his service, his preceptor gave him his own daughter, Sugata, in marriage, as well as a mastery over the Shastras, and she conceived a child, radiant as fire. One night, while his father was reading the scriptures aloud, the child spoke from his mother's womb. "Father, you have been reading all night, but it seems to me that not everything you recite is correct. Through your study, I have become versed in the Shastras and the Vedas and their Angas. I say to you that what comes from your mouth is inaccurate." Insulted in the presence of his disciples, the Maharishi cursed the child in the womb in anger. "Because you speak even from the womb, you shall be crooked in 8 parts of your body." The child was born crooked, and he was known as Astabakra. Now, he had an uncle named Swetaketu, who was the same age as himself. Anxious about the child growing in her, one day Sukata said to her impoverished husband, "Maharishi, the 10th month of my pregnancy is near. You have nothing to sustain us once our child is born." Kahoda Muni went to King Kanaka for wealth. In that Maharishi's court, Pandin, master of dialects, defeated Kahora in a debate and drowned him in a river. Hearing of this, Udalaka said to his daughter Sukata, "You must keep this secret from Astabakra." He did so, and when Astabakra was born, he heard nothing about the matter, and he regarded Udalaka as his father and Swetaketu as his brother. One day, when Astabakra was in his 12th year, Swetaketu saw him sitting in Udalaka's lap and pulled him roughly down. Astabakra began to cry. Swetaketu said, "It is in your father's lap." Astabakra was devastated, went home, and asked his mother, "Where is my father?" Sugata was stricken by his question, and she was also afraid that he might curse her. She told him what had happened. At night, Astabakra said to his uncle Swetaketu, "Let us go to the sacrifice of King Hanaka, where we might see many wonderful things. We will listen to the debate within the Brahmanas and partake of excellent food. Our knowledge will increase. The recitation of the sacred Vedas is sweet to hear and is fraught with blessings." Uncle and nephew went to Hanaka's splendid sacrifice. Upon being turned away from the entrance to the Yagnasala, Astabakra spoke to the great king inside. Okay, that is Canto 132. I think I have only one particular thing to say, and that is... okay, just a short explanation before this. Certainly what is the figure of a Brahmana is one who has already I think it is by certainly it is a randomness, but a quote unquote decided by fate and the gods himself. Somebody is chosen as a Brahmana. They are not purely born as one because of pure odds. No, you are chosen as a Brahmana. But in this case, what happened to the Brahmana who was the father of what was the name of the child? Ashtavakra ended up being his death because of his incredibly negative actions. Not only he was already told that he was doing bad when he was reciting the Vedas, no, the Shastras. When he was reciting the Shastras, he was already told by his own child that he was doing so incorrectly, but also later on, because he even chose to curse his own child, somebody who he should treasure as much as he can, because certainly something that is very present here throughout, yeah, in the Hinduistic belief, you needed to have a descendancy. Therefore, to curse them for something so trivial as they telling you that you are doing an incorrect job, what is one of your main occupations, he was, let's say, quote unquote, punished there. So it doesn't make uh, no sense to see it like this, you know, to observe that out of nowhere he died, and there is quote unquote a justification for this, based at the very least on all of this. It isn't like, wow, it is so unfair. It happened with a certain amount of understandableness behind it. But yeah, anyways, that is the only particular thing I believe so far seems to be interesting. I mean, I believe if I had to say, uh, probably to this degree, making up stuff once again, uh, taking it from here. Kahoda Muni went to the King Hanaka for wealth. In that Raharish's court, Bantin, master of dialects, defeated Kahoda in a debate and drowned him in a river. Hearing of this, Utalaka said to his daughter Sugata, "You must keep this secret from Ashtavakara." The only thing that is necessary for our consideration is this one, up to river. What I believe might be interesting enough is that to a certain extent, what you are observing here is the master of dialects banding, embodying itself the dialects and the capacity of articulating yourself properly against the knowledge that a Muni possesses and the amount of understanding of the nature of the world that one might have will always win, let's say. So far as to this, later on it is shown that certainly the child ends up paying back what um, Bandin did to his father. But the main part, I think it would be something like probably dialect itself is stronger than the interpretation of the world. Because if not, it wouldn't win against what you can say. Yeah, against what you can say on this world. That is why, in this case, the debate ended up being, um, yeah, in, in favor of the dialectic side of the reality, not the spiritual one. Despite probably, I will say, it doesn't really work like that in nature, but rather it might seem so at a first glance, that the words spoken are more important to others. That is why they win. In this case, maybe it isn't explained, it lacks a lot of details, but perhaps the way in which Cajoda was defeated wasn't really one in which he felt like he truly lost the argument, but rather something that we have already seen a lot of times happening. Being defeated is also considered as so when out of nowhere the public itself, who's observant of the event, starts to declare that someone already won. Perhaps something like this happened in this case, even more in a debate in which there shouldn't be somebody who always wins and somebody who always loses. So yeah, is that is something interesting. But anyways, continuing. Yeah, continuing. Canto 133. Tirthayatra Parva continue. Ashtavakra said, where no Brahmana is encountered, the right of way belongs to the blind, the deaf, the woman, carriers of burden, and the king. But when a Brahmana is on the way, the path belongs to him alone. King Hanaka said, I give you the right to enter. Go in by whichever entrance you choose. No fire, be it ever so small, is to be slight. Even Indra bows to the Brahmanas. Astavakra said, ruler of men, we have come to witness your sacrifice, and our curiosity is great. Besides, we have come here as a guest. Satyas, we want your permission to enter. And, O son of Indradyumna, we have come to meet King Hanaka and to speak to him. But your gatekeeper obstructs us, and for this our anger burns us like fever. The gatekeeper said, we carry out orders of banding. Listen to what I have to say. Boys are not allowed to enter here, only learned old Brahmanas. Astavakra said, if this is the condition, the Paralaka, that the door is open only to those that are old. Then we have a right to enter. We're old and we have observed sacred vratas and possess energy which comes from the Vedas. We have served our elders and subdued our passions and have mastered the scriptures. It is said that even boys are not to be slight, for a fire, small though it be, burns on being touched. The gatekeeper replied, young Brahmana, I consider you a boy, but if you are a Gyani, then recite, if you know it, the mantra that demonstrates the existence of the Supreme Being, a hymn adored by the Devarishis, which, although composed of one letter, is yet multifarious. Make no vain boast, learned men are really very rare. Astavakra said, true growth cannot be from the mere development of the body, even as the growth of the nodes of the salmali tree cannot signify its age, that tree is full grown, which although slender and short, bears fruit, while the tree, however large, which does not bear fruit, is not mature. The gatekeeper said, boys receive instruction from the old, and in time they also grow old. Knowledge certainly cannot be attained in a short time. Why, then, being a child, do you talk like an old man? Astavakra said, one is not old because his head is grey, but the gods regard him as old who, although a child in years, is yet possessed of knowledge. Sages have not laid down that a man's merit consists in years, or grey hair, or wealth, or friends. To us, he is great whispers in the Vedas, I have come here, O gatekeeper, to see Bandin, the Sabha. Go and inform King Kanaka, who has a garland of lotuses around his neck, that I am here. Today you will see me enter into dispute with all the learned men, and defeat Bandin in that fate. And when the rest have been silenced, the Brahmanas of major learning, and the king also, with his principal priest, shall bear witness to the superior or to inferior quality of my attainments. The Dwaparalaka said, You're just 10. How can you hope to enter this young sala? Only great scholars can go in here, but I will try to let you in. And you yourself also try. Then Astavagra said to the king, O Hanaka, best of your race, you are the greatest sovereign, and all power reposes in you. Times of old, King Yayati was the celebrator of sacrifices, and in this yuga, we have heard that the learned bandit bests the most expert debaters, and then has your loyal servants around them. Hearing this, I have come to these Brahmanas to expound the doctrine of the unity of the Brahman. What is Pandin? Tell me so that I can face him and eclipse him even as the sun does the stars. Kanaka said, Brahmana, I hope to defeat the Pandin without knowing his power of speech. None who knows his powers will dare say what you do. The greatest masters of the Veda have faced and been vanquished by him. You only say what you do because you do not know how mighty he is. So many Brahmanas have wilted before him, even as the stars before the sun. Countless scholars, arrogant of their learning, merely saw abandoned and lost all their pride. They left my sabha, shamed, without uttering a word. As Tavakra said, Bandin has never debated against a man like me. Only so does he look upon himself as a lion and goes about roaring like one. But meeting me today, he will fail dead, even like a cart whose wheels have come loose on a highway. The king said, only he is truly learned man who understands the significance of the thing that has 30 divisions, 12 paths, 24 joints, and 360 spokes. Ashtavakra said, made ever moving, that has 24 joints, 6 naves, 12 peripheries, and 6 spokes protect you. The king said, who amongst the gods bears those two which go together like two mares yoked to a chariot, and sweep like one hawk? Unto what also do they give beard? Astavarakara said, my God, O king, forfeit, forfend the presence of these two in your house. Yes, even in the house of your enemies, he who appears having the wind for his charity begets them, and they also produce him. Thereupon the king said, what does not close its eyes, even while sleeping? What is it that does not move, even when born? What is it that has no heart, and what increases even in its own speed? Ashtavakra said, it is a fish that does not shut its eyelids while sleeping, and it's an egg that does not move when born. It is a stone that had no heart, and it is a river that increases its own speed. The king said, it seems odd has been that you are no human being. I do not consider you a boy, but a majored man. There is no other man who can compare with you in the art of speech. I therefore give you admittance. There is Bandit. And now, before continuing, we have the explanation as to what some completely esoteric definitions or what is it? I don't remember the name of these things. Where you have to guess what is being talked about. Questions, whatever. What some of these things mean. Uh, so, for the first thing, we have that one thing that has a lot of stuff. That is the wheel of time, as it says here, measured according to the solar, lunar, and astral revolution. The significance of Ashtavakra's reply is may the meritorious deeds performed at proper times during the revolution of this wheel of time protect you. Um, the second one is thunder and lightning, or misery and death. What? What? Brother, I can't understand what it is too cryptic. Why don't you use more common language for everyone to understand here? Uh, Anyways, the third one is the male being that is ever conscious. Once again, I don't understand. Um, that is in the context of something that is bigger. Yeah. Once again, I guess certainly we're not cultivated enough to understand what the fuck is this. Sorry. What is this? Fourth is cloud or the mind. What does not close its eyes even while sleeping? It is a fish, also a cloud or the mind. What? I can, I can quite understand the idea. Also, now that you finally chatted, welcome, Crespian. I, I think I get it. To some degree, I believe I comprehend the idea. What does not close its eyes even while sleeping can certainly be seen as the mind, because that is the nature of the mind. Even if you are sleeping, it literally is the only thing that keeps working. You, or the one thing that works the most while you are sleeping, even that is the mind. That is literally what produces dreams. I don't know if they realized this at this point in the Hinduistic culture and all of that. Why they mention the mind here? That one I get, but I don't get what a cloud has to do with this. What will be a cloud? What does a cloud have to deal with this? A cloud can't even sleep. I mean, it is an object, brother. I don't know. Uh, Anyways, the fifth one is the mundane egg. So yeah, the fifth one is only an egg. The fifth one is only an egg, nothing else. Um, no, yeah, every single thing is an allegory here. The problem is, how can you uh, make sense out of a cloud is something that doesn't close its eyes while it is sleeping? What? Um, it is quite complex sometimes to get what is being talked about. I mean, something that isn't even mentioned here is no, well, no, it is quite mentioned here. This whole paragraph of the king said, only he is a truly learned man who understands the significance of the thing that has 30 dimensions, 12 paths, 24 joints, and 360 spokes. And the response Ashtavakra said, may the ever-moving wheel that has 24 joints, 6 naves, 20 peripherals, and 60 spokes protect you. That is talking about the wheel of time, and the wheel of time is the concept of how the passage of life works for everyone, and that itself isn't even explained inside of the text. You have to guess it. It is an allegory, but it is quite a complex one. I will guess probably certainly something like not being translatable or not being truly understood on my part is why I don't get the side of a cloud, but everything else does make some sense. But um, anyways, let's see. Six is the soul that has What? The soul that has renounced connection with the body. What? What? What is it that has no heart? It is a stone that had no heart. And stone means the soul that has renounced connection with the body. What? I mean, this one makes a little bit more of sense. I believe it is talking about the quality of being heartless because you have decided to lose your humanity. To a certain extent, it literally is necessary for you to possess that connection and to accept yourself as a completely integral being. This why when you lose the connection, soul, mind, and body, you are rejecting your own self. Therefore, you are losing that capacity of being a complete being by itself. It is quite yeah, it is quite a complex paragraph, this one, certainly. Quite a complex canto. But yeah, makes sense to a certain extent. And the last one is, and what increases even in its own speed? The response was river. And the seventh and final one is the heart of a yogi. And just in case, yogi means somebody who is dedicated to yoga. Yoga is, in this context, the performing the different rites and yeah rituals. That is a yogi. So anybody who is dedicated, as it happens with them, have had to do as aspiring towards being somebody who attains Swarga. Swarga also means attaining complete illumination, be it on this realm or the next one. And that means basically being, to a certain extent, living a contemplative life. To make it shorter, somebody who contemplates life is a yogi. Say like that also. But yeah. But how is it that a yogi increases even in its own speed? Uh, I mean, I don't even get what it means to increase even in its own speed. Is it that it gets even faster? But why say it like that? I mean, anyways, the explanation that I can try to give, if it means what I believe it is that certainly, as it does happen, anybody who is cultivating themselves in this way will keep always learning because it is unavoidable to learn, let's say, and it is unavoidable to obtain even knowledge about the nature of the world if you so much will see it like that. Therefore, the analysis of such things leads you to these conclusions and lets you keep ever growing your understanding of this world in which we inhabit, let's say. But yeah, it is quite a weird thing to say it like that. Anyways, that's Canto 133, or yeah, Canto 130. Um, I guess we can move on from here. Oh, well, no, I have a tiny problem. I need yet another. Yeah, I haven't drank water probably, so I need another idle break. If you can, people, excuse me. I am sorry, but I like to drink water to stay hydrated, so I end up needing to later on do stuff related to removing it from where it's not needed. So yeah, idle break of like 1 or 2 minutes yet again. Please give me a second, and thank you. Anyways, I am back. So, I didn't change scene. My bad. Here we are. Come to 134. I was thinking probably we're going to try and do like 2 or 3 cantos more. I don't think it is a problem, but certainly we're going to be considering a philosophical debate, so I don't know how dense they are going to be with information. But I was at the very same time thinking that at the very least it is a joyful thing. We might have had so far like 5 or 6 philosophical debates, so certainly finally one more will be quite beneficial. Let's see, whatever is it that they talk about. So yeah, um, continuing. Canto 134. Irte y atrapar va contigo. Hasta va Krasser, O king, O leader, fierce legions, this assembly of monarchs of unrivaled power who have met together, I cannot recognize Bantin, master of the controversialists, but I am searching for him, even as one does for a swan on a vast expanse of water. Oh, Bandit, you regard yourself as the foremost of debaters, yet when you debate against me, you will hardly flow like the current of a river. I am like a fire in full flame. Be silent before me, Bandin. Do not awaken a sleeping tiger. Know that you will not escape unstung. After trampling on the head of a venomous snake, licking the corners of its mouth with its tongue, that weak man who, pride of strength, attempts to strike a blow at a mountain only gets his hand and nails broken. But no wound is left on the mountain itself, as the other mountains are inferior to the Mainaka, and as scalps are inferior to the oaks, so are all other kings of the earth inferior to the lord of Ithila, and as Indra is the foremost of devas, and as the Ganga is the best of rivers, so you alone are, O king, the greatest of monarchs. O king, have a banding brought into my presence? O Yudhishthira, when Bandit stood forth, Astavakara thundered at him in wrath. You answer my questions, and I will answer yours. Bandit said, only one fire blazes forth in various shapes. Only one sun illumines this whole world. Only one hero, Indra, the lord of the Devas, destroys all enemies. And only one Yama is the sole lord of the bitters. Astavakra said the two friends, Indra and Agni, ever moved together. The two Devarishis are Narada and Parvata. The twins are the Aswini Kumaras. Two is the number of the wheels of a chariot, and it is as a couple that husband and wife live together, as ordained by God. Bandin said, 3 kinds of born beings are produced by acts. The 3 Vedas together perform the Mahabaya at 3 different times. The at warriors command sacrificial rites. 3 is the number of worlds, and 3 also are the divine lights. As Tavakra said, 4 are the ramas of the Brahmanas. The 4 Varnas perform sacrifices. 4 are the cardinal points. 4 is the number of letters. What? And 4 also, as is ever known, are the legs of a cow. Bandin said, 5 is the number of fires. 5 are the feet of the meteor called Punki. 5 are the sacrifices. 5 logs, it is said in the Vedas, are on the heads of the Apsaras, and 5 sacred rivers are known in the world. Stavakra said, Some assert that 6 goals are given while first lighting the sacred fire. 6 are the seasons belonging to the well of time. 6 is the number of the senses. 6 stars constitute the constellation Kirtika. 6, it is found in all the Vedas, is the number of the Satyaska sacrifice. Pandin said, 7 is the number of the domesticated animals. 7 are the wild animals. 7 metals are used in completing a sacrifice. 7 are the riches. There are 7 forms of paying homage in the world. 7, it is known, are the strings of the Vina. Astavakra said, 8 are the bags containing 100-fold. 8 are the legs of the Sarabha, which preys upon lions. 8 Vasus, as we hear, are amongst the Devas, and 8 are the angels of the Upastamba in all sacrificial rites. Bandin said, 9 is the number of the mantras used in kindling the fire in sacrifices to the Peters. 9 are the appointed functions in the processes of creation. 9 letters compose the foot of the meter, Brihati, and 9 is also always the number of the figures in calculation. Stavakra said, 10 are the cardinal points, entering into the cognition of men in this world. 10 times 100 makes up 1,000. What? 10 is the number of months of a woman's gestation, and 10 are the teachers of true knowledge, and 10 the haters thereof, and then again are those capable of learning it. Anyways, Pandin said, 11 are the objects that beings can enjoy. 11 is the number of the Yupas. 11 are the changes of the natural state of those that have life, and 11 are the rudras among the gods in heaven. Astavakra said, 12 months compose the year. Of 12 consists a food of the matter Yagati. 12 are the minor sacrifices, and 12, according to the learned, is the number of Adityas. Pandin said, unaffected by happiness and misery, the Paramatman does exist, but his existence is not susceptible of being proved, nor can the ignorant ever perceive him. Men attain that condition through these 12 virtue, truth, self-restraint, penance, goodwill, modesty, forgiveness, freedom from envy, sacrifice, charity, concentration, and control over the senses. The 13th lunar day is considered the most auspicious. 13 islands exist on Earth. Saying this much, saying this much, Bandit stopped. He could not go on. Stavakra completed the sloka. 13 sacrifices are presided over by Keshi, and 13 are devoured by Adishkandas, the longer meters of the Veda. And seeing Astavakra speaking, and the Sutta son silent and pensive, and with his head hung down, the assembly broke into a loud uproar. Delighted, the Brahmanas at King Hanaka's splendid sacrifice rose as a man, and with folded hands paid Astavakra homage. Astavakra said, before today, this man will best all Brahmanas in debate and cast them into water. Let Bandin meet the same fate to date. Seize him and drown him in water. Bandin said, Oh, Hanaka, I'm the son of King Varuna. Simultaneously with your sacrifice, there also began another 12 years yagna. It was to that sacrifice that I dispatched the principal Brahmanas. They have gone to witness Varuna's sacrifice. Look, there they are returning. I pay homage to the worshipful Astavakra, by whose grace today I shall join him who begot me. Astavakra said, defeating the Brahmanas either with straight debate or sophistry, Pandin had cast them into the waters of the sea. That embedded truth, which he had suppressed by false arguments, I rescued by dint of my intellect today. Now, That honest man such as agony, who knows the character of both the good and the bad, leaves the body of those whose designs are honest, untouched by his heat, and is thus partial to them. So too, good men judge the assertions of boys and are favorably disposed towards them. Oh, Hanaka, you listen to me as if you have been stupefied by eating the fruit of the Sleshmataki tree, as if flattery has robbed you of your good sense, and this seems why. Although my words pierce as hooks do an elephant, you do not hear them. Tanaka said, listening to you, I find your words extraordinary, more than merely human. Your form is also superhuman. You have vanquished Bandin in debate, and I put him at your disposal. As Tavakra said, O king, Bandin remaining alive will serve no purpose of mine. If Varuna really is his father, let Bandin be drowned in sea. Bandin said, I am King Baruna's son. I have no fear of being drowned. Even at this moment, Stavakra shall see his long-lost sire, Kahoda. Then, altered Brahmanas appeared before Kanaka, after having been duly worshipped by the magnanimous Varuna. Kahoda said, it is for this, O Hanaka, that men pray for sons, by performing deeds of punya. That in which I fail has been achieved by my son. Weak persons may have sons endowed with strength. Fools can have intelligent sons, and the illiterate may have learned sons. Pandin said, Pandin? Yeah. It's with your sharpened axe, O monarchs, that even Yama severs the head of foes. May prosperity attend upon you. In the sacrifice of King Hanaka, the principal hymns of the Ukta rites are being chanted, and the Somarasa is also being amply quaffed, and the gods themselves come to accept their sacred shares of the sacrifice with joyful hearts. When the dead Brahmanas rose up, their splendor enhanced, Banding took his leave of King Hanaka and entered into the waters of the sea. Then Ashtavakra worshipped his father, and he himself was worshipped by the Brahmanas, and thus, having defeated the Sutasun, Ashtavakra his own fine hermitage, and his uncle with him. The present of his mother, his father said to him, her son, and enter this river, Samanga. Astavakra did so, and as he submerged himself beneath the water, all his crooked limbs were instantly made straight. And from that day, that river is called Samanga, and she became invested with the virtue of purifying. He that bathes in her is set free from his sins. Therefore, O Yudhishthira, do you, with your brothers and wife, enter the river and perform your ablutions in her? Kaunteya, scion of the race of Ahamidha, we will remain here with the Brahmanas, and you will perform other deeds of punya with me, for you are bent upon doing. Um, yeah, and now, and now we have the we have the notes to read, which occupy a complete page. Um, First note that pertains to. I guess I will have to read them because I don't even remember them myself. So yeah, Pandit said, only one fire blazes forth in various shapes. Only one sun illumines the whole world. Only one hero, Indra, the lord of the Devas, destroys all enemy. And only one Yama is the sole lord of the beaters. The explanation for that is Astavakra comes to Kanaka's sacrifice with the object of proving the unity of the Supreme Being. Bandin avails himself of various systems of philosophy to combat his opponent. The iterative form of the dialogue is unique in being that of enigmas, and the latent meaning is in a queer way hidden under the appearance of puerile and heterogeneous combinations of things. Banding opens the debate by saying that as the number of each of these is one, so one only, intellect is the Lord, leader and guide of the senses. Response. Astava, yeah, Astavakra says, the two friends, Indra and Agni, ever move together. The two Devarishis, Arnarara and Parvata, the twins are Aswini, Arti Aswini Kumaras. Two is the number of the wheels of a chariot, and it is as a couple that husband and wife live together, as ordered by God. Okay. Explanation. There is a Vedic revelation that two bears live together on a tree as friends. One of these eats the fruits, and the other looks at the former. From this, it is manifest that these two are the lords, leaders and guides of the senses. That there is a second faculty, besides the intellect, is also brought by the fact that in sleep, when the intellect is inactive, that faculty continues in action. For if it were not so, we could not remember having slept, nor connect the state after awaking with that preceding sleep. Accordingly, by citing the number 2, Astavakra asserts that, besides intellect, there is another faculty, consciousness, and that these two are jointly the lords, leaders and guides of the senses, and that they act together as Indra and Agni, etc. Now, on to the theatre. Pandin said, three kinds of born beings are produced by acts. The three Vedas together perform the Mahabharata at three different times. That warriors command sacrificial rites. Three is the number of worlds. Three also are the divine lights. Explanation. By citing the number 3, Bandin means to say that as it is deeds that produce the three kinds of born beings, etc., so deeds are supreme and that everything else, be it intellect alone or intellect and consciousness together, is subservient to karma. Now, on to the fourth one. Um, Astavakra said, four are the ramas of the Brahmanas. The four Varnas perform sacrifices. Four are the cardinal points. Four is the number of letters, and four also, as is ever known, are the legs of a cow. Explanation. Astavakra here advances the thesis that even if karma be supreme, still when the fourth or supreme being, Turiya, becomes manifest to the soul, it stands in no further need to act or perform any karma. Now, fifth, Pandin said, five is the number of fires. Five are the feet of the meter called Punki. Five are the sacrifices. Five logs, it is said in the Vedas, are on the heads of the Apsaras, and five sacred rivers are known in the world. Explanation. By bringing in the quinquennial series, Bandin wants to assert that the five senses are competent to cognize their respective objects, and that besides these senses and their objects, there is neither any other sense to perceive nor any other object of perception. He also cites the authority of the Veda, according to which the Apsaras, or consciousnesses, have five locks in their heads, as in five objects of perception. Now, on to the sixth one. Sorry. Astavakra said, some assert that 6 cows are given while first lighting the sacred fire. 6 are the seasons belonging to time. 6 is the number of the senses. 6 stars constitute the constellation Kirtika. 6, it is found in all the Vedas, is the number of the Satyaska sacrifice. Explanation. Bandin admits the existence of the six senses, but says that the soul experiences happiness and misery through those as well as through the intellect. Now, eh, 7. Ashtavakra said, eh, ah, eh, ah, yeah, it happens that there are some that have no explanation whatsoever. I like that. I don't, I, I don't know what does the seventh paragraph mean, my brother? And it is only explained after the eighth one. I guess, okay, I guess we are reading this. I am not yet explaining anything. I guess there is no explanation for that then so far. I guess. So continuing with what is finally being considered, as Tabakra said, 8 are the bags containing 104. 8 are the legs of the Sarabga, which preys upon life. 8 Vasus, as we hear, are amongst the Devas, and 8 are the angles of the Upastamba in all sacrificial rites. Explanation? Um, Ashtavakra advances an 8th element, namely the knowledge of this. Now, onto the 8th part. Bandin said, 9 is the number of the mantras using kindling the fire in sacrifices to the Pitars. 9 are the appointed functions in the processes of creation. 9 letters compose the foot of the meter, Brihati. 9 is also always the number of the feet in calculation. Explanation? Each of the three qualities, existence, foulness, and ignorance of Prakriti, the passive or material cause of the world, mixing with each of the three corresponding qualities of Pradhana, the active or spiritual cause of the world, in various proportions produces the mundane order of things. Thus is proved the eternity of Prakriti or nature, and so also established the doctrine of duality. Now, on to the ninth. Ashtavakra said, 10 are the cardinal points entering into the cognition of men in this world. 10 times 100 makes up 1,000. 10 is the number of months of a woman's gestation, and 10 are the teachers of true knowledge, and 10 the haters thereof, and 10 again are those capable of learning it. 10. Anyways, explanation. Prakriti does not really create. It is the supreme being who, through the medium of illusion in contact with organs, the five locomotive organs and the five organs of sense, makes manifest the system of things. Prakriti, therefore, has no real existence. Her existence is only apparent in the realm existence of the soul. Continuing. What? Astavagra said. No, 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 no. It is in Bandin that we are, yeah? Okay. Bandin said, 11 are the objects that beings can enjoy. 11 is the number of the Upas. 11 are the changes of the natural state of those that have life. And 11 are the Rudras among the gods in heaven. Explanation. Upas states mean here, feelings, etc., which keep men bound to the world. Rudras are those who make others cry. Okay. Ashtavakra said, 12 months compose the year. Of 12 consist a foot of the meter Yagati. 12 are the minor sacrifices, and 12, according to the learned, is the number of the deities. Explanation. Bandin means to say that the soul is not essentially free from the fetters of happiness and misery arising from the 11 objects of perception in this world. All men are subject to happiness and misery. We also hear that there are Rudras in heaven. Now, on to the 12th. Hello, there it is. 12, it's. Ah, yeah. Bandin said, unaffected by happiness and misery, the Paramatman does exist, but his existence is not susceptible of being proved, nor can the ignorant ever perceive him. Man attained that condition through these 12: virtue, truth, self-restraint, penance, goodwill, modesty, forgiveness, freedom from envy, sacrifice, charity, concentration, and control over the senses. The 13th lunar day is considered the most auspicious. 13th Iceland exists on Earth. 12. According to some, endeavors to attain emancipation can be successful, not in this world, but in the world of Brahma. Others say that to that end, a special yoga is necessary by bringing forward the object numbering 13. Bandin advances the opinion that virtue, etc., are not sufficient to attain moksha, but that a suitable time and place are also essential. And now, final part. Saying this much, Bandin stopped. He could not go on. Ashtavakra completed the sloka. 13 sacrifices are presided over by Keshi, and 13 are devoured by Atichhandas, the longer meters of the Veda. Explanation. Ashtavakra concludes by citing the same number 13. The soul, which is essentially unaffected, becomes subject to happiness and misery through the 13, the 10 organs of locomotion and sense, and intellect, mind, and egoism. But Atichhanadas, what? As in those that have surmounted ignorance, namely the 12, virtue, etc., destroy those 13, and that is emancipation. That by itself is Canto 134. Yes, certainly it is complex. I guess besides the philosophical debate, what can be extracted? I am running also low on time, so I won't make it that long. But let's make it something like this. Let's try to conclude with this one. Also, why do I have the guitar? What's up with that? Can you shut up? Thank you. Yeah. Let's conclude with this. What can be extracted out of the final part is probably that what is being discussed is the capacity of being emancipated and being liberated from problems that are born out of the nature of the human itself, and how can one try or not to absolve their own problems. In this case, the debate ends up being won by the argument that it is possible to do so once a human being is capable enough of absolving themselves by virtue of always pursuing purity and always being capable of surmount these problems, as it says in the very last end, and that the capacity of doing so resides in the human himself while they are alive, not when they die. So it means that a lot of this end up showing that every single one has the capacity to be quote unquote free. The problem is how to obtain that freedom. Because certainly, as it was shown in the dialect itself, even the other philosopher stated that it wasn't possible because he wasn't even capable of conceiving himself as a being such of having that possibility. But the final conclusion, once again, what is necessary to take into account what ends up being proven as the final point, it is possible to attain quote unquote enlightenment in this sense, or emancipation as it is called here. Emancipation from all the, what is it, from all the desires of this world, attachments, that is, sorry, attachments of this world. So yeah, that that is the final explanation. What what a what a canto, anyways. Amazing, incredibly amazing. I I can't be happier than with that to conclude today's reading. Certainly, what a man, finally, after, I don't know, it was how much it took us quite a while to finally reach some type of proper conclusion and anything like that. So quite beautiful to see it finally happening. But yeah, quite dense with information. I guess that is one of those things that you will have to, that one in general has to go to sleep with to really process all of that. I guess certainly the debate itself of how can one achieve liberation such from its own problems is quite dense by itself already. So even more trying to talk about how much more of a capacity one human has over those problems does certainly pertain to an even higher level of responsibility that can't truly be simply stated. It's something that only can be experienced, let's say. But yeah, I don't know, quite crazy, quite, even if complex. I think it is. I hope it was to some degree understandable still, because yeah, that's everything for today. But yeah, eh, anyways, too much thinking. So we might as well leave. This is everything so far. As always, thanks for being here. It has been yet again a pleasure. I hope it was to some degree understandable. Yeah, we are done. Let us try to finish this, as always, with a beautiful read. Thanks for everything so far, as always. I hope I pray to that it was understandable. I certainly had even myself a completely hard time with that, so yeah. But anyways, as always, thanks for everything. It has been yet again a pleasure. I hope everything is well for, as always, thanks for being here, thanks for watching, thanks for looking, thanks for watching the world, thanks for everything. It has been um, very good. Now, before leaving, thanks. Remember to keep yourself safe. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember to sleep. Remember to do all the responsibilities that you have. And yeah, as it was shown there, remember to be happy. Anyways, on to something more. We are we are reading Shokan the Watcher, who is playing. Is this library of, yeah. So, anyways, as always, goodbye, people. It has been a pleasure being here, but it has come to an end. Whenever we can, we're getting back here, and if we don't, at the very least, we enjoy whatever happened now. But anyways, goodbye, people. Have a good one. Thanks for everything, and yeah, please be happy. That's the main message today. Thanks for all. Oh my god, this is the fucking here message. Wow.